Hey there, this is Atul from team K21academy, and I'm here to invite you for an absolutely free 6 days bootcamp on how to master DevOps and multi-cloud, how to build this in-demand skill and land a high-paying job. Even as a beginner with no experience, or you don't like coding or have no coding knowledge. So my promise is that by end of these 6 days, you will have full clarity on how to get a high-paying job, learn understand these topics and get a free job. Now, I've used exact these same methods to go from a complete beginner in IT, earning less than $100 a month, to then earning 425 pounds a day here in the UK, then going to 700 pounds a day to 900 pounds, and then further 1200 pounds a day. Now, these methods which I'm going to discuss on that free bootcamp, you'll be learning on, or it will work even if you have no IT background or someone with a career break or have no experience in IT. Or you might have been attempting to interviews but not getting or applying for the jobs, not getting interview calls, or not able to clear the interviews or how to get a job. Now, the methods which I'm going to share have not worked for one, two, but thousands and thousands of students, and I'm confident that by end of 6 days, you'll be able to learn all those steps as well. Now, who am I? Very briefly, I have more than 2 decades of experience in IT, helping others like you to learn. I've learned all these things, implemented, worked with thousands of customers here, or thousands of individuals like you, and some of the big telecom, banks, finance industries, implementing cloud, and whatever knowledge I've gained, I'm going to cover in this 6 days boot camp. So with that, let's look at day by day what we're going to cover. So on the 6 days boot camp, and so on day one, we'll begin with what, what, why, and how. And so I always begin with whatever you're learning, always begin with why you want learning that particular skill. So why you should be learning cloud if you're a complete beginner, or if you already know and want to first get clarity on why you should be learning DevOps or cloud. And we'll be talking about some of the job opportunities that are available in cloud, where cloud is heading, why everyone is moving towards multi-cloud, and why you should be learning on multi-cloud as well. I'll also give you some idea about the salary, depending on whether you're in US, UK, Canada, Middle East, Singapore, India, wherever you are. I'll give an idea about what kind of a job or salaries you can expect, and different level of jobs, whether you're a beginner, as I said, or a experienced as well. So we are going to talk about as well. Now, we'll also cover on day one, just briefly, but I'm going to go deeper on this on day 6. But what's keeping you stuck? Because some of these things kept me stuck when I was learning, starting, and then also in my mid-career, somewhere around 2012-13, when I was transitioning towards cloud. So what kept me stuck, or what might be keeping you stuck as well, we'll cover that as well. So day one, we're going to focus entirely on cloud for absolute beginners, where we'll be covering things like what exactly is cloud. I've already mentioned about why, or then I'm going to focus about why companies are moving towards cloud. What is the benefit that cloud brings? So this is going to be for complete beginner. In terms of cloud, we'll look at cloud characteristics, what made cloud, what are the common properties of cloud, things like high availability, disaster recovery in the context of cloud. We'll also look at fault tolerant, scalability, elasticity, and the difference between scalability and elasticity, because these will be building blocks of cloud and other things that you're going to learn on day 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6 as well. We'll also look at CapEx versus OpEx model, and which one you should be implementing, why cloud, or one of the common properties for cloud becoming famous as well. So then we'll also do some of the quizzes to see whether what you are learning you have learned that very well or not. So we'll be asking some question answers to see whether you understand these concepts on day one that we are going to cover. So this is day one. Now, if you're interested to know more about, leave a comment that, or apart from that, if you have any other question related to day one, or you want me to cover anything else, let me know about that as well. Now, on day 2, we are going to look at the cloud second most important thing, which is cloud service model and deployment model and shared responsibility model. So we're going to begin with cloud service model, which is a IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. What each of these means, and where does the responsibility lies between you as a implementation, you as someone who's implementing cloud, versus a cloud cloud provider as well. We'll also be taking some examples from different cloud, example of IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS from a different cloud provider like AWS, Azure, Google, so you understand the differences between these three service deployment models. Now, we'll also again do some quizzes so you understand these concepts well and you get more clarity about. So I want to know, or you can check whether you've understood these by answering these questions in that on day two. We'll also look at the shared responsibility model, and this time is in the context of the security side. Who owns security in each of these SaaS, PaaS, IaaS model as well? Then we are going to look at deployment model, public, private, hybrid, and then hybrid is becoming more and more common these days as well. So what does these three different cloud deployment model means, and the example of each of these these models as well with respect to AWS, Azure, Google, Oracle, all the four cloud as well. Now, a lot of guys are confused when they're starting which cloud they should go. Should they learn AWS? Should I learn Azure, Google, Oracle? So we'll be discussing about that, and I'll be giving some examples for you in terms of what I have done, what others do, and maybe bringing some of these examples based on your situation as well. So we'll cover these cloud comparisons, some of the common things or things different between cloud providers. So we'll do some cloud comparison as well. So that's going to be day two. Now, day three, we're going to focus on the first cloud, which is AWS cloud, hugely popular, and everything about AWS cloud we'll be talking about on day three. So I'm going to bring an expert on AWS cloud, and she'll be talking about cloud basic common services like compute, storage, networking, identity and access management, security, databases, and all those things that you should be learning. Then we are going to go and a little bit deeper into a common service, which is EC2, which is nothing but a compute virtual machines. So we'll look at what are the different type of virtual machines, EC2, and then load balancer. And then what we're going to do is we are going to do a demo on setting up these two virtual machines with web servers deployed and configuring load balancers in front of that. This is one of the simple examples we're going to cover. So in that, once you register, I'm going to give you, if you're interested on this, leave a comment on interested, comment or leave a comment called interested, so I can give, my team can share the link of this bootcamp. And also once you register, I'm going to invite you for or tell you a little bit more about how to create a free AWS account. It's important for this bootcamp for you to create that free account. If you already have, good. If not, we'll share the steps on how to create a AWS account so you can do these demo and walk you through some of these common services on AWS. We'll also be talking about the common certifications on day three, what are the certifications available in AWS and which one you should be beginning with and what you should be focusing more and more in terms of certification as well. Then towards end, I'm going to give you this exact learning path that have been used by hundreds and hundreds of students to get a job as well. So you can take away this complete approximately around 12-week roadmap to learn this AWS cloud in order to get assured jobs. We'll also give you the roughly 50 plus hands-on lab that you should be performing in order to become expert in this AWS. And these are some of these things which will help you in getting a job. Now, after once you get a list of hands-on lab, another important thing is the fifth, like around 10 real-time projects so that you can put in your resume or CV as an experience. So we'll look at some of the, and this is what I would recommend you to do if you're struggling to get a job in cloud or if you really want to make big in cloud and earn a lot of money into cloud. So projects like three-tier app deployments, web application deployment covering database, application tier, as well as the web tier. Or things like creating a CI/CD pipeline for Azure DevOps or doing a blue-green deployment on some of the containers, Kubernetes, and ECS, which is a container services, or deploying web app, API gateway, and so on. Other things might be related to, another project might be related to security, SSL security, migrations, migrating from monolithic application to microservices, or from on-premise to cloud as well. So that, as I said, these are the things which will move you in getting a job from a no IT experience or no background to getting multiple offers. So that's going to be day three. Day four is completely focused on Azure. And that is where we'll begin with some of the Azure basics, the common services landscape. What are the common services available in Azure? And we'll cover things like a region and availability zone for high availability, for disaster recovery, some of the building blocks of Azure, which is resources and resource group. We'll look at some of the common resources like virtual machines, storage, compute, networking, databases, functions, serverless, the way we did on AWS earlier on day 3. Day 4, we're going to do the same thing for Azure as well. Now, we're going to look at Azure console. So for that, and then we'll navigate all these common services. So on for day 4, I'm going to give you another step-by-step instructions guide and a video on to create a free Azure account so you can practice, you can see what we are teaching as well. So things we are going to look at from an Azure point of view is Azure Compute, which consists of various services within Compute like virtual machine, containers, app services, virtual desktops, and Kubernetes as well. We'll also look at storage accounts and the how compute is linked to a storage or how you can use storage services in your virtual machines, containers, Kubernetes as well. Also, another thing which I mentioned about app services and databases. Then the expert, I'm going to bring Azure expert who are going to talk about the networking, the entire networking like the VNets, subnets, gateways connected with on-premise, like express route, VPN connectivity, site-to-site, point-to-site VPN connectivity, and so on. We'll also look at networking peering, where you connect two networks with each other, and as I said, VPN and express route as well for connectivity point of view or firewall. We'll also look at Azure security, and all these are brief overview so that you understand and you can take these steps and implement them in your own cloud account as well. So from a security point of view, Azure Active Directory, which is now called as Entra ID, how do you sync it, this Entra ID or Azure Active Directory with on-premise Active Directory, Microsoft Active Directory, things like multi-factor authentication for extra sensitive applications or conditional access where you grant access to an application based on some condition, which could be time, which could be where you're accessing from, location, etc. as well. We'll also look at the private endpoint security, which will be which basically Microsoft Azure provides to protect resources like your virtual machines or databases or storage and so on. Another important thing you should be learning, which we'll be discussing briefly about, is service principles and managed identity. Very, very important for you if you're implementing or developing applications on Azure Cloud. Now, another tools like Microsoft Defender or DevOps tools, CI/CD tools available on Microsoft Azure Cloud. And finally, we'll do the migrations, things like migration from on-premise to cloud or from other cloud to Azure Cloud or within Azure Cloud from one environment to another or from one region to another. So things like Azure Migrate, site recovery, database migration services, and recovery service vault for virtual machines we are going to cover as well. Now, if you have a huge amount of data, you can use something like Databox, similar to AWS, which is like Snowball and etc. or Glacier, which we'll be looking in from the Azure point of view. Also towards the end, we'll talk about Azure certifications, some of the common certifications which are available and which one you should be doing and what my recommendations are based on some of the successful common certifications that you should be performing. Now, the way we did for AWS on day 3, we're going to do the learning path on AWS, but this time for Azure, for assured job, completely roughly around 12-week roadmap, but this time for Azure, including certification. We'll also give you 50 plus hands-on lab that we recommend, which you can use to get the real experience, hands-on experience as well on this. And then similar to the way we did it in AWS Cloud real-time project, so you can write in your resume as an experience, you'll be doing it here as well. So deploying 3T architecture like this, but this time on Azure Cloud, doing containerized Java application, containerized containers, Kubernetes implementation, end-to-end implementation of Terraform to automate the infrastructure build on Azure, deploying multi-container applications on Azure, and migrations applications as well as the databases as well as VM from on-premise to cloud on Microsoft Azure Cloud. Or project like integrating your Azure Active Directory or Entra ID now called as with on-premise Active Directory for users, groups, sync management as well, and doing project on networking. Now, things like these, as I said earlier, the project work, the hands-on lab, and the certification, these combined together will help you in getting a job. So we'll give you that complete roadmap. Now, day 5 is going to be on all about DevOps and DevOps, especially DevOps implementation on cloud. So what we're going to cover is why you should be learning DevOps, what is exactly DevOps means, some of the common DevOps frameworks and principles and implementations that you see. We'll be talking about that. We'll also look at the common roles available in DevOps and DevOps for database administrator. CI/CD is something called as the concept of CI and CD. So that CI/CD and DevOps for DBAs or network engineer, or who should actually learn DevOps, whether it's DevOps on-premise, DevOps on cloud. We'll talk about that as well. We'll also look at some of the common DevOps tools that are available in the on which are commonly used like Git, Jenkins, Ansible, Docker, Kubernetes, Terraform, and CI/CD configuration management, etc. as well, both in terms of the common standard that are available on AWS cloud or Azure cloud as well. We'll also look at when I was starting into DevOps, I was confused difference between CI/CD, especially CD, which is it continuous delivery or deployment. What's the difference between continuous delivery and deployment? We'll look at as well. We'll also look at some of the common CI/CD tools available and also the deployment strategies that it should be when you're deploying applications on cloud. Now, on day 4 or this day 5, we're going to do a demo on end-to-end CI/CD deployment, but we'll take an example of using Azure DevOps CI/CD tools on deploying applications using Terraform and web app. So for that, another one which will be asking you to do a hands-on lab, which will recommend you as soon as you register by creating a free Azure DevOps account as well. We'll also look at the certification we recommend for DevOps if you have to focus on DevOps as well. And similar to AWS and Azure, the complete learning path, if you just want to focus on DevOps, I still highly recommend you to go for multi-cloud and DevOps, but also individually, if you just want to focus on DevOps on cloud for guaranteed jobs. So same 12-week roadmap with 40 plus hands-on lab but this time specific to DevOps specific and the project work. Now, if you do all these things, the common mistake or common myth or people crave or mention that they have a gap, or some of you guys might have a gap, but I can assure you that if you do what I'm asking you to do, you'll sure get a job as well. So that's why that's a complete 6 free days are completely on focusing on how you can get hold of jobs. Now, 6th and final day, this is a day we'll be wrapping up. I'm going to bring everything together, and this is where we'll talk about multi-cloud as well as how to prepare the job for jobs. So entire my more than 2 decades of experience on getting a job, how to prepare for these jobs, we'll be talking about day 6. So we'll begin with, first of all, why you should be learning multi-cloud. We'll recap. I'm going to bring a multi-cloud expert and some of the job opportunities that everyone is doing moving towards multi-cloud. So first we'll begin with what actually this multi-cloud means, why you should be learn multi-cloud, why companies are moving towards multi-cloud. We'll look at some of these numbers from the previous years and what are some of these companies who are implementing multi-cloud. What companies like Gartner or Strategist or HashiCorp, what are some of these companies are talking about in terms of multi-cloud. We'll also look at who actually need multi-cloud, what all companies that you see who are implementing multi-cloud and why they're implementing this multi-cloud. Are there any limitations or are there any drawbacks of implementing multi-cloud? We'll talk about that, and we'll also look at the common use cases and some of the reference architectures that you can see in with respect to AWS, Azure, Google, Oracle, all those things, different landscapes we'll be seeing. And also again, I'm going to bring, as I said, a demo which you'll be seeing on how companies do these multi-cloud as well. So we'll look at. Now, once that's done, as I said, this is where I'm going to wrap up, which I mentioned, the promise I made on how to get a high-paying job in multi-cloud and DevOps, even as a beginner. What I did when I was starting, and what you can do, will be wrapping up. We'll be covering all those things. And as I said, I don't have any coding knowledge, zero coding, no programming, and how you can learn same. Now, another question we keep getting is no experience. So how you can gain that experience? We're going to cover that as well on day 6. So I'm going to put it very, very simple terms. I like simplicity. I don't like complex things. So we'll cover the 3 steps in order for you to get a high paying job. I'll open up everything about that 3 steps as well. I'm going to give you the complete roadmap, which I have used over the last probably around 10-15 years, overall 23 years experience. Last 10 years I've been used myself for this to first move into cloud and DevOps, and then I've given to my hundreds and thousands of individuals like you to learn that. So I'm going to open up that roadmap step by step for you. We'll give you the plan that you can use in your own learning on that. As I said, I'll also share some of the common mistakes which you might have done, common mistake in terms of writing your resume or CV. How do you prepare your resume using common tools like ChatGPT, AI that you might be doing, and also what mistakes to avoid when you're using ChatGPT and AI. I also give you some tips on LinkedIn, what you should be focusing on from a LinkedIn point of as well. How to search for the jobs, how to ask for the interview questions, what to write in your resume, what questions you can expect in the interview, all through using ChatGPT. We'll be talking about on that on day 6 as well. And this is all so that you have a complete roadmap for you so that you get hired. Now, if you're interested to attend this free 6 days bootcamp, go to this URL k21academy.com/bootcamp, enter your name, email address, and a phone number with a country code from this drop down here so that you select the right country so that you'll be added into the WhatsApp group for notifications and some more useful things behind the scene. Enter your correct phone number and click on register now. When you register, within few minutes, you'll get the invite and there'll be some interesting stuff as well you'll be getting in for that free 6 days boot camp. Now, one final thing, that whatever time you spend with this, I want to make sure that your time is wisely used with us. So in past, we have run these sessions and we always get, or we aim to get 5-star rating. In fact, in past, we have get 99.9% 5-star ratings. And my promise is that if you spend time roughly around every day, it will be 90 minutes. So 90 minutes over 6 days, absolutely free. You will have full clarity. And I want to make sure that I'll use your time wisely and you learn a ton of value. So go to this URL or leave a word called or leave comment called interested, and we'll send you the invite. And also do not forget to share it with your friends, colleagues. We learn in in group as well. Also, there'll be some interesting stuff for when you refer this to your friends as well, which will be inside the when you register. You'll get those all the information. With that, this is Atul. Can't help wait to see you inside that free bootcamp. Take care and bye for now.